the bustling streets of Onyeka village, a small but lively town where everyone knew each other. The marketplace was the heart of the community, a vibrant space where laughter mingled with the calls of traders. Amidst the noise, a young girl named Amara roamed the streets, barefoot and hungry. Amara was only 12 years old, her frail frame a testament to the struggles of her life as an orphan. Amara's mother had died during childbirth, and her father was never in the picture. She had spent her childhood wandering from house to house, begging for food and shelter. Most people turned her away, their doors and hearts closed. But Amara had learned to survive, scavenging through trash bins and eating whatever scraps she could find. One fateful evening, Amara stumbled upon the house of Mrs. Chinwe, a wealthy and respected woman in the village. Chinwe was known for her sharp tongue and her quick temper, but no one dared to speak against her because of her wealth and influence. Her mansion stood tall at the edge of the village, with towering gates and a neatly manicured garden. Amara, desperate for food, climbed over the low wall at the back of the house and approached the trash bins. Her heart raced as she dug through the leftovers, hoping to find something to eat. She didn't notice that she was being watched. Inside the house, Chinwe stood by her window, sipping tea. Her sharp eyes caught sight of the scrawny figure rummaging through her trash. Her face darkened with anger. "Who dares to steal from me?" she muttered, slamming her cup on the table. Without hesitation, she stormed outside, her heavy footsteps echoing in the night. Amara froze when she heard the gate creak open. She turned around and saw Chinwe standing there, her face twisted in rage. "You little thief," Chinwe screamed. "How dare you come here and disgrace my house?" Amara stammered. I'm sorry, I was just hungry." But Chinwe wasn't in the mood for explanations. Her pride had been hurt, and she was determined to teach the girl a lesson. "You think you can steal from me and get away with it?" she hissed. Without giving Amara a chance to escape, Chinwe grabbed a pot of water that had been boiling on a nearby fire. In her blind anger, Chinwe lifted the pot and poured the scalding water onto Amara. The girl let out a piercing scream as the boiling liquid seared her skin. She fell to the ground, writhing in pain, her cries echoing through the night. Neighbors rushed out of their homes, drawn by the commotion. They found Amara lying on the ground, her skin red and blistered, and Chinwe standing over her with the empty pot. It was her last hour, and she had gotten the pot. "What have you done, Chinwe?" one of the neighbors cried out. "She was stealing from me," Chinwe shouted, as if that justified her actions. The crowd murmured in disbelief. Some of them wanted to intervene, but Chinwe's status in the community made them hesitant. No one wanted to be on the wrong side of her wrath. As Amara lay there, crying in agony, a woman named Ngozi stepped forward. Ngozi was a widow who lived modestly, but was known for her kind heart. She knelt beside Amara and gently lifted the girl into her arms. "She's just a child, Chinwe," Ngozi said, her voice trembling with emotion. "How could you do this to her?" "She deserved it," Chinwe replied coldly. "If you care so much, take her, but don't come crying to me when she steals from you too." Ngozi carried Amara to her home and tended to her wounds. The burns were severe, and Amara's recovery would take months. Despite the pain, Amara was grateful to Ngozi for saving her. For the first time in her life, someone had shown her kindness. News of the incident spread quickly through Onyeka village. People whispered about Chinwe's cruelty, but no one dared confront her directly. Meanwhile, Ngozi's home became a haven for Amara, who began to heal not just physically, but emotionally. Ngozi taught Amara how to read and write, and the two formed a bond that felt like family. Amara's resilience and determination shone through, and she vowed to never let her past define her future. But as Amara grew stronger, the villagers began to question whether Chinwe's actions should go unpunished. A quiet rebellion brewed, and whispers turned into plans. Months passed, and Amara's physical wounds began to heal, but the emotional scars ran deep. Under Ngozi's care, she found solace in books, learning about people who had risen above their circumstances. Months passed, and Ngozi kept his word. "I'll show them," Amara whispered to herself one night, clutching a small journal where she wrote her dreams. "I'll show Chinwe that she didn't break me." Ngozi, noticing Amara's determination, encouraged her to attend community meetings where children discussed ideas for village improvements. Amara's voice began to stand out. Despite her young age, she spoke with wisdom beyond her years. While Amara was rebuilding her life, Chinwe was facing growing disdain from the villagers. Although many still feared her, they whispered behind her back. Families who had once sought her favor began to avoid her. Her wealth, once a shield, was now a burden, isolating her from the community. Chinwe began to notice the change. Market vendors no longer greeted her with enthusiasm. Neighbors stopped visiting. Even the children in the village avoided her home, whispering stories about the wicked woman who harmed an innocent girl. One evening, as Chinwe walked through the marketplace, she overheard two traders speaking in hushed tones. "Did you hear about Ngozi and the girl she saved?" one asked. "Yes," the other replied. "That girl is remarkable. They say she's teaching other children how to read now." Chinwe clenched her fists. How could this girl, this beggar, be receiving admiration while she, Chinwe, was being shunned? She turned away before the paper was spoiled. The turning point came during the village's annual Unity Festival. This event was a time for the community to gather, share stories, and celebrate their shared heritage. This year, Ngozi and Amara were invited to speak. Amara, now confident and articulate, stood before the crowd. She recounted her struggles, not with bitterness, but with hope. "I once thought my life was over," she said, "but kindness saved me. And now, I want to help others find hope too." She looked at the group, and they were all staring at her. The crowd erupted in applause. Even those who had ignored Amara in the past were moved by her resilience. "Oh, treasure!" Chinwe, standing at the edge of the crowd, felt the weight of their cheers like a stone on her chest. For the first time, she realized that her power over the village was slipping away. After the festival, a group of elders approached Ngozi. They had seen enough of Chinwe's tyranny and wanted to hold her accountable for her actions. Together, they organized a meeting to address the incident publicly. The entire village gathered in the central square, including Chinwe, who arrived with a defiant expression. Amara, standing beside Ngozi, remained calm and composed. An elder began. "Chinwe, your actions against this child were cruel and inhumane. As leaders of this village, we cannot ignore such behavior." Chinwe scoffed. "She was stealing from me. I only protected my property." "But at what cost?" another elder interjected. "You harmed a child in a way that no one should ever endure." The villagers murmured in agreement. One by one, they stood up to share stories of Chinwe's past cruelty, overcharging for goods, humiliating servants, and intimidating neighbors. Chinwe, overwhelmed by the accusations, finally broke down. "I only wanted to protect what's mine," she stammered. The elders declared that Chinwe would need to atone for her actions. She was ordered to pay for Amara's education and contribute to the village's efforts to care for orphan children. In addition, she was to spend her mornings assisting Ngozi in her community work. For Chinwe, this was a humiliation, but for Amara, it was the start of something new. With the village rallying behind her, she began to organize literacy classes for children like herself. In most cases, the children were well received, with one exception, a disabled girl named Amara, who kept refusing to learn. Ngozi beamed with pride as she watched Amara grow into a leader. "You've turned your pain into purpose," she said one day. "Now it's time to help others who may feel alone." Years later, Amara became a respected teacher in Onyeka village. She never forgot the lessons she learned from her hardships or the kindness that saved her. As for Chinwe, she softened over time, humbled by her experiences and the resilience of the girl she once sought to destroy. The village thrived under the leadership of a new generation, inspired by Amara's story of hope, justice, and redemption.